Good morning and good afternoon, beautiful people. I hope you're well. Welcome to my page. My name is Deji Ogunshola. I'm a recruitment consultant with 16 plus years of experience in the recruitment sector, both domestically in the UK and internationally. I have put together this video with regards to interview preparation and tips. Now, as I'm sure many of you are quite familiar now with the world of COVID and how that has changed how we do things. Interviews via video such as Skype, Teams and Microsoft has become very, very popular. For those who've been doing international recruitment like myself for a number of years, clients have been using Skype for many, many years. But now it's even become very common for your role based on the city you're living in for initial interviews to be happening via Teams, Skype, video, whichever format. So I thought I'd put this video together as I do find in my job that when I do receive interview feedback from clients about some of the candidates I've represented for interview, that I'm still finding some of the same common mistakes. So I thought I'd put together a video to help you avoid the pitfalls. So, you know, this can be used for anyone for whatever interview you're happening. So it's quite relevant to all of us. You know, whether you're looking now or you're looking in the future, we're all going to be, you know, interviewing at one point in our lifetime. So a short video, no longer than 10 minutes, short and sweet, with 10 points to consider when having an interview via video and how to prepare. So number one on my list is to look at the camera when speaking. Now, it's very difficult sometimes. You have to avoid the urge to look at yourself in the camera, but sometimes if you play it back, so you know, myself who does a video podcast and other video recordings, when I watch myself back, I can see that when I'm looking at the camera, it's as if I'm looking at myself directly in the eyes. However, when I'm looking at myself in the camera and look at the video backwards, it's almost as if it's a weird angle you're looking at. So I'm not sure if I've explained that well, but essentially you have to remember when you're having an interview face to face with somebody, you will be looking at them in the eyes. So therefore, you know, your camera on your phone, that is the eyes of the person who's doing the interview. So you really need to make sure you look at the camera on your phone or your laptop or etc. and make sure your attention is there and try not to have the urge to look at yourself. So it's just another thing just to kind of help maintain the eye contact. If you're looking at the eyes of the camera lens on your phone or on your camera or laptop, that is essentially the eyes of the person who's interviewing you. So please just always focus on the camera and try not to get distracted looking around. Number two on my list is to pick a professional background. Now, if you want to go all fancy and have the green screen behind you, go ahead. Many of these video platforms such as Teams will have the ability for you to kind of choose a professional background, which is always good. If you don't have that facility, just a clear background that's less distracting, you know, something like you've got here behind me, nothing too fancy, nothing too loud, but just something clear and professional. Trying to avoid spaces like the kitchen, so you can see the kitchen top, or having a messy, tidy background. Try and keep it clear and neutral. Likewise, my point number three is to pick a quiet space. Now, if you've got kids at home, this is where you may need to speak to a partner or get somebody to help, where they can perhaps take the kids away, or if that's not you don't have that facility there, then pick a quiet space where you're not going to be disturbed for the duration of the interview. If you're on a busy street, try and close your windows, or if you've got building work or neighbors, etc., just picking a quiet space. There's nothing worse than an interviewer having to ask you to repeat yourself because they do not hear what you were saying. So always try to pick a quiet space when having your interview. Point number four, silence your phone. Now, you know, this is very important. So if you are perhaps doing it via a laptop or you're using a webcam, then have your phone on silent as you would do in an interview. You know, treat the video interview the same way you would treat a face-to-face. It's by no means a lesser type of interview, so treat it with respect. And again, If you are having a interview and you're going to be using your phone for the purpose of the video, then make sure to silence it or switch everything else off other than the Wi-Fi, because there's nothing worse than your phone ringing and it interrupts an interview. Some apps will block it, but some apps don't. So I've had it myself where I'm on a video call and then someone will call, like my mum, and then it will ring and ring and ring, and then you're having to kind of say to the person you're having a conversation with, oh, sorry, do you mind if I pick that up, or to give me 10 minutes, or all of a sudden it rings and it distracts you. So try to make sure your phone is on silent. Similar enough, turning off all notifications as well. Turn off the notifications as well so nothing appears on the screen which suddenly catches your attention. So if you're in a WhatsApp group or you've got notifications from whether your Instagram or anything else, switch the notifications off so that when you're having your interview, nothing is distracting you. You want all your focus to be on the interview itself. Number 5 on this is to charge your device. Keep your device charged. Very, 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 very important. Nothing worse than suddenly appearing low battery and you all of a sudden have to turn it off. So keep it on charge and make sure you have enough juice, as they say, for duration of the interview and after as well. Next on my list is to make sure you have a good internet connection. So this is one of the key things I always tell my candidates is have good Wi-Fi connection, internet connection. There's nothing worse than the sound quality going or the video quality going or buffering, etc. So wherever you are, make sure the Wi-Fi internet connection is clear and very good and strong. So avoid doing an interview perhaps in a coffee shop if you're unfamiliar with the Wi-Fi speed and connection, because there could be a difference to when you're working and browsing compared to having a video interview. Likewise, if you're going to be doing it on your 4G, make sure you've got strong 4G connection, you're not moving, so on a train or bus. Stuff like that I would avoid completely, because when it goes against all these rules of having a quiet background, etc. So make sure your Wi-Fi connection is strong and solid. Next on the list is to wear professional attire. So again, just because the interview is going to be happening over video and you perhaps are going to be at home, so you're feeling comfortable, make sure you are dressed appropriately. Now, I'm very understanding that the attire and work kind of attire has changed over the last couple of years, so it no longer has to be kind of suits and ties, they say, but keep it professional, a shirt and trousers. And I say trousers, even though, you may be thinking, well, I'm having an interview and no one's going to see the bottom half of me, so why do I need to bother with that? You never know what happen. You may need to get up or something happens for you to get up unprepared, and there's nothing worse than you getting up when you're wearing your boxers or your shorts. Likewise, so for male, female, just keep it professional in terms of your attire. Trousers and shirt is always fine and will always kind of tick all the boxes. Next on my list is to practice using the video. So by that I mean practice the technology you're going to be used. Make sure you're familiar with the settings, make sure you're familiar with how to turn things off, how to put things on, how to adjust your camera, record yourself, looking at the camera, play it back, see how you sound, again, test the environment, is there a humming background, is there cars in the background, etc. So always, always, always practice, practice, practice. Number 10 is to ask the interviewer questions. And this goes for any interview, to be fair. Make sure you are asking questions. It makes it look like you are prepared. It makes it look like you're interested. There's nothing worse than an interview concluding and do you have any final questions, and silence, cricket sound, tumbleweed. Have some questions. Again, essentially, you're being interviewed about a role, but then you are going to be interviewing the company that you're going to be working with. I always like to tell my candidates that the interview process is two ways. Yes, you are being interviewed for a role, but you are also interviewing to make sure that company is right for yourself. So you should have some questions. Questions that come to mind off the top of my head. What's the culture of the organization? What's the ethos of the business? What's the mission goal? Even ask some questions about the interviewer. the person who's doing the interview on behalf of the company. So if I'm a candidate, I would ask, how did you get this role? How did you find the company? Maybe what's your next career progression? What do you like about the company, etc. Because the person who's going to be doing the interview is probably someone who's going to be vital in some sort of day-to-day management. So it shows a really good interest if you have plenty of questions to ask. So always come prepared. And my last and final, number 10, is the mute button. Now, this goes in two ways. Number one, always make sure your mute button is off at the beginning. So, there's nothing worse than having it on and you start away speaking, introducing yourself, and it's nobody can hear you. One may argue it can be a bit of an icebreaker, but, try to have it off. And again, sometimes you can also have it on when your person who's interviewing you is maybe speaking. So to avoid any kind of noise from your background going there is to kind of sometimes hit the mute button, so it's kind of clear. So when the person's speaking, there's no noise, and then when you're ready to speak, you put the mute button off again. So if you are going to have that method, do make sure you remember to put it off and put it on at the right time. But number 10 is have the mute button off when you're speaking, and if you feel you need to have it on when you're not speaking, so all the noise from your environment perhaps can make sure it can be silenced for the interview. So again, the person doing the interview can have focus on you as well. Hopefully you found some use with my kind of top 10 tips for preparing for an interview. As I said, I've been doing recruitment for 16, 17 years. So hopefully my decade plus of experience of having, and arranging several hundred interviews and conducting several hundred interviews myself, I've got some experience to share. Again, thank you for watching. My name is Deji Ogunshola, and I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day ahead, and good luck for all the interviews out there. Thank you very much. Take care. Goodbye.